Hi, this is Melindy from Paris Living. I think that this is the first video that I've done this year, so happy New Year to everyone. We got through 2020, barely, and 2021, I hope promises to be better. I mean, let's not kid ourselves, it's not going to be a cakewalk, but at least a certain person left the White House in a certain country that unfortunately has a lot of influence on economic activity around the globe. But let's talk about specific economic activity in the property sector in Paris. So I was just looking up European Central Bank statistics, and France's inflation rate is negative. It's negative 0.34, which is pretty bad. The last time that France had a target rate of about 2% was in 2013. All of the policies of the ECB and of the Banque de France will be to get inflation back up to 2%. And it's been very, very hard. Since 2013, we have not gotten there. That means that all of the policies of the government will be to increase consumer spending. Now, France fundamentally is not an economy built on personal credit. It's looked down on. I mean, there are moral reasons, there are mentalities involved, but one of the big there's two main things that people will take out loans for, and those are cars and property. So the cars don't cost as much as properties, so it is more advantageous for the government to impose quotas on banks to lend as much as possible at the lowest rates possible in order for younger people to be able to get on the property ladder. On the other end, there is a 5% stamp duty, so that's also revenue for the state. And so banks are lending at a loss. The only money that they make is the, I don't know, 7-8 euro a month fee for having an account, having a current account. But otherwise, this is, deflation is very bad. Inflation, I mean, small, quick economics lesson. Inflation is like too much money searching after too few goods. So when there's scarcity of goods and there's a lot of demand for it, the prices of those goods are going to go up, and then that can spiral. For example, it can also be applied in employment. If a company if there's not enough workers of a certain skill level, companies are going to have to pay them more and more money in order to attract them from other companies. That's another thing that can lead to inflation. Deflation is when there is not enough demand for goods, and so the supply side is going to decrease its output. And when they decrease their output, they're going to lay off workers. They're going to close down factories, lay off workers, and that's obviously bad for an economy. So home buying has always been looked upon as a solid investment in France, in most countries that I know of. So this is, really being pushed and encouraged. Basically, it's, if you take out a loan at less than, around 1% and inflation is negative, it's free money. I mean, we're talking up to 25 years fixed loans, and foreigners are eligible. You can take out a home loan in France. The only thing that matters, because your financials will be analyzed in a different way as a foreigner. The only thing that really matters is what your debt to income ratio is, what your revenue is, how reliable it is, how old you are, because French loans, it's mandatory to take out a life insurance loan, a life insurance policy with the loan in case of default. And so that is open to all foreigners. There's no barriers to foreign ownership in France. And I have a couple of great American mortgage brokers here who specialize in obtaining loans for Americans. And usually for non-fiscal residents, we can usually get between 1.5, 1.8%, whereas a French fiscal resident might get more like 1%. But still, it's historically low rates. And post-holiday season, there's a bit of a lull. That's normal. But there's still plenty of activity. There's not this same kind of complete lack of activity that we would usually have seen maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. There's still a lot of people looking for the smaller investment type properties, studios, 1 bedrooms. They're very lucrative. Paris has a very limited number of residential square meters. And this year has been strange because of the travel restrictions. Tourists haven't been able to come. So people who rent out on short-term or Airbnb haven't been able to have the, high occupancy, 80, 90, even 100% occupancy that they would have before. But hopefully by the spring, when, crossing our fingers, the majority of the population will have been vaccinated, and certainly by the summer, the short-term rental market will pick up again. So for a lot of my clients who like to buy an apartment here, use it whenever they can, whenever they want, whenever they can get away, and in the meantime rent it out, that should be possible starting this summer. And the process of finding an apartment, getting the financing in place, all of that takes about a total of 6 months. So this would be probably a good time to start a search if that is one of the goals that you have, is to have a pied-à-terre in Paris. So feel free to leave me a comment, contact me. I'm always happy to talk, to chat to anyone about their project, their ideas. They have any questions about the particularities of the property market in Paris versus the rest of France, for example, and what the fiscal implications are, etc. There's lots to talk about. So I hope that everyone is staying safe and staying sane, and I will be back soon. Bye.